Whew. Another day, another hot one. Man, it's great. Good to be back. Good to be back. Yeah, the other episode last night, yesterday, protesters, fake ones, was a good one. This was even better, though. Got asked to do this one after the serial killer editions and the organized, unorganized. Pretty cool, so I agreed with it. Chats are open. YouTube, Rumble, and X. Yep, we're streaming on those. Got a new one we're trying, as you see here in the back section of the whatever the stuff over here is. Yeah, it's all mirrored. Odyssey. We're trying that one. Seeing what it is. Today's episode. Yep. They're not going to watch you blink, or you're not going to see them blink because they're going to watch you hurt. The Sadistic Psychopath, the psychotic episode. Most sadist research in the scholarly world relies on self-reporting from questionnaires, forensic samples, forensic experts, psychologists, sociologists, and big alphabetic agencies that select information as they deliver it to the community or you, the public, the society, but it's generalized biased. Why? It's individualistic to each person. Every sadism scale measures subclinically, so to say, subclinical traits, not direct traits, subclinical, kind of like culture, subculture, the sub side of it, because there's always a difference in every individual person. No one is, so to say, exactly the dadgum same. So the non-clinical diagnosis is the catch. High scores on these questionnaires, these forensic samplers, these Likert scales, all of these things that psychologists use and all of these professionals use, there's a bias to it, just like research. There's a limitation, there's a restriction, there's something there that affects the score, the outlier, the number that no one is going to consider, or the number that is not uniform or fits within the conformity of the agency, the clinician's identity and or non-biased opinion of what a sadist is. So the high scores do not automatically indicate a disorder or a criminal personality or criminal propensity. It doesn't identify that. Findings in research also discussed a correlated and non-populated level. Example, normal society. Within normal society, you have race, creed, religion, you have all kinds of things, but you have the effective attributes of trauma. Let me adjust this daggone thing. Who was messing with this? Wasn't me. There we go. Perfect. So the correlation, the population level, they do not predict individual behavior. Why? Everybody's different. So all of the scales, all of the attributes, everything that someone would say, yeah, that's a sadist right there. That's someone that we can literally call a crazy man or a crazy lady or a sadist. This episode is an educational series, all right? We're going to break some of this down, but we're not constituting a clinical diagnosis for you or for anybody out there that wants to attempt to identify as a sadist or say they know a sadist or they can identify a sadist. Chats are open as we're going. Put your thoughts in. As I said, it's educational. We're not restrictive here. Sling it and send it. I'm checking. Yep, everything's running. Everything's streaming pretty good. So let's get on with this. The sadist. I won't blink while I watch you hurt. Most perpetrators hunt for money, revenge, control, the classic 1, 2, 3, 2 and 2 make 22 of a crime. The sadist psychopath hunts for the moment, all right? Hunts for the moment your breath catches movement. Why? The stimulation. I got you. Your breath catches the movement. Oh my gosh, this is happening. I can't believe it's happening. Well, it's exciting. They're not going to blink when they're watching you go into a convulsive scavrum of euphoria in your brain. And when it happens, the sadist is not going to look away, even though you're trying to look away, trying to get away, or even you're trying to talk to the sadist to convince them that I won't tell anybody, this, agree with them, talk to them, perform, do as they want, hoping you're going to get away alive when you know in the back of your cranium that you're going to either be harmed or wind up face down as a cadaver. Bottom line, anybody ever seen Girl with the Dragon Tattoo? The guy hanging up, and the sadistic sadist murderer said the exact same thing. People give in. They agree in order to fictitiously convince themselves that the sadist is going to look away. It's not because they're brave. It's not because they're evil. It's not because they're trained to do this, but because your pain is the only thing that makes them feel anything at all. They're not evil. They're not from the 7th level of Beelzebub, Mephistopheles' locker in hell. No, they're human, just like you. But it's the only thing that makes them feel. Watching pain. It's kind of like the person that likes to watch you suffer, or likes to watch the argument, or the one that likes to come in and provoke the argument. Psychopaths lack empathy, period. Done. They just lack it. It's not that it doesn't exist within the psychopath. They lack it at normal levels that society would see as a normal moral ought to have sympathy. Sadism craves suffering, pain, not just physical pain, but mental pain, anguish, dilapidation, fear, nerves. Think about that. You can't sleep at night because you can't shut the brain off because of what's coming the next day, and the sadist at work, the boss that everybody hates, the boss that's just too dadgum bossy, but shouldn't be the boss anyway because they're too stupid. Who put them there? Yeah, the sadist, the pain, the suffering, the thing that makes you stay awake at night, the thing that gives you indifference of comfortable, quiet, peaceful. But when the lack of the empathy is now being displayed by the sadist, when both converge the same, the sadist craves the pain, the suffering, the sadist has the lack of empathy. When both of those converge in that brain, you get something worse than a monster. You get something worse than a specter or a ghost. You get a spectator that enjoys the show, loves the show. And kind of like the episode yesterday, the protesters that are catharsis protesters, the emotional protesters, the show stealers, the instrumentalist, the ones that crave the show, the ones that crave the episode itself. The empathy firewall within the sadist, while they're watching all of this with the lack of empathy, the craving of suffering, that firewall of empathy is just burning down. It's falling apart. It's like a 10-ton heavy thing going through your living room cheap wall. It's crumbling. They're not going to pay attention to anybody that is suffering or anybody that is going through a traumatic moment. It's making them feel good. That endorphin, it's that dopamine, it's that high, it's that acetylene in the system that makes that brain go faster because they're going to induce more pain, induce more suffering. So let's map the neuroscience, so to say, of the deviance and the dark side behind the sadist, the psychopathy. What is sadism? How is it measured in the CJ system? How is it measured in the psychological sector that works within the CJ system? Forensic psychology or forensic psychologists that have that extra training to work with investigations. Sadism is a tendency to enjoy hurting or humiliating others, even when you don't gain anything particularly from it. The sadist is not gaining a nickel or a dollar or a cheeseburger or a White Castle milkshake. It's pleasurable. They're watching it. It's kind of like watching your best chosen TV show, the show you tune into every week. You choose it for a reason. Soothing, it's comforting, it makes you feel good to see someone else suffer. The sadist has suffered. The sadist has lived through a traumatic moment in life. Trait, development, family, culture, race, creed, religion, age, bullies, whatever it may be, peer pressure. Now they're seeing it happen to someone else. If not, the sadist is the one that is inducing it upon someone else. Researchers use questionnaires. That's great. Researchers. I research. Prior military, prior law enforcement, academic now, yada, 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 still teach in all those different sectors, but research is limited. There's a bias to it, such as the assessment of sadistic personality, the ASP, all right? Assessment. It's an assessment. It's a short revised form, the ASP-8, to measure how someone enjoys cruelty or cruel-related jokes. Yeah, enjoys the cruel-related jokes, but it's not something that is actual in life. You're not going to have someone go out there and perform an act that puts someone under stress, pain, or suffering, or undue means of turmoil. No, that would be unethical for the researcher. It's a form. Anybody can check the boxes. Anybody can, plus and check the balances to create what they want to create. The form is there, but the form, it's simply a questionnaire. It's not something that really breaks down to the psychological side or breaks down to the neuroscience side, or it just doesn't break down to the deviant behavior definition within a singular person. So the questionnaires are cool for a common understanding, but in this guy's opinion, as psychology is my secondary terminal, worthless. They're worthless. In criminal justice research, high sadism scores, often predict harsher treatment. They enjoy suffering. Think of going to prison. This is a person that's going to assault everyone, the person that's going to find the biggest, roughest guy and put him down just to enjoy the pain, the suffering of the masses. They're more aggressive to victim. The more aggressive to the victim, the more violent the behavior, and the more predictable the violent behavior will be in the future. That is the assessment. But the bias is there too, because there's also a trigger for the sadist as well. Sadism, it's a part of a group trait, all right? A simple group trait. And we've talked about this before in one our serial killer episodes. We've had a few serial killer episodes, particularly female, destructive, non-destructive, organized, unorganized, just psychological pretext. But understanding how sadism is measured leads us to something called the dark triad, or the dark T-rad, which also includes psychological narcissism, chauvinism. It's multiple attributes that are assessed. But still, it's a questionnaire. Still, it's a form. Still, it's something that is simply documented, and it's something that is not truly observed person to person. It's kind of like watching Wild Kingdom or your favorite animal show. Watch the leopard stalk the prey, where you're not going to be a researcher or a clinician and have a target vulnerable person out there and say, okay, sadist, this is what I want you to do. This is what you did on the forum. Let me see you in action. No, it doesn't work that way. Thus the bias in the defining research methods, CJ, psychology, sociology, historical venue, whatever it may be, Hollywood, your favorite TV show. It's all, it can be debunked. So understanding how sadism is measured helps us understand the pattern in offenders. It just helps us trigger on what we need to look for in the future without saying, hey, sadist, go cause harm, so we can observe it. With an investigation, criminal investigation, violent crime, continued torment, continued abuse, domestic violence, psychological violence, crimes against the elderly or against children, especially sexual crimes, the pain, the suffering. These documents that are assessment protocols, like art scales, check the boxes, pick a multiple choice, which one appeases you the best, and we're going to compare answers that should reflect each other. It's all a biased. Nothing is 100% accurate. It's kind of like throwing a dart at a dartboard at a bar, and there's no lights in the bar. You're probably going to hit little Timmy in the eyeball and not get the true target, which you're not going to get the true target with assessment of any piece of documentation or anything that's psychologically venued through research or publication in paper. I hate to break the news to all of those researchers, but the truth be told, the majority of researchers out there that specialize in this have never been to a crime scene, have never dealt with somebody that, with intent, exhibited sadist practitioner skills. Yeah, sadist practitioner skills. They're developed, they're grown, they're built, they're observed, they're fine-tuned. It's kind of like you learning how to fine-tune your math skills, you learning how to fine-tune your communication skills within society. Just is what it is. Now, what is sadism? Sadism means enjoying someone else's pain. Humiliation. It's not just being angry or defending yourself. No. You don't even have to be involved in it. You don't even have to be the perpetrator of the violence. You don't even have to be the guy or the girl that exhibited or put someone in fear. You can just be witnessing it, and suddenly it becomes entertaining. It's kind of like a ding-dong watching a protest, or it's kind of like people that live stream all these protests that other people are protesting and claim they're instrumental. They're watching the suffering and torment of other morons that put themselves into a situation. Yeah, sadist. So everybody's got that little bit of sadist. It's kind of like having an Xbox or a PlayStation, right? Everybody's got that little soldier in them. Regular anger is about reacting to a threat. Period. Fight or flight. Anger. Emotion. Sadism is about getting pleasure from watching the causation and the harm to the person who is receiving the harm. Mental, physical. As I said, the sadist doesn't even have to have hands in it, doesn't even have to be involved in any of it whatsoever. But guess what? It's happening. It's happening. What is up with Odyssey? Why can I not get Odyssey back on? Guess I'm going to have to watch a YouTube video or two on that. The Sadistic Personality Questionnaire. Okay, here's another questionnaire, all right, the ASP, all right. Researchers use that as the assessment tool, okay, and it's a built, 2023 conceptualization of hostile psychopathy, sadism, but it really doesn't overlap all of the personalities of everyone that takes the actual survey, the ASP, all right? It's not a norm. Sadism is not something that everybody exhibits or practices, but everyone has a little sadism in them. How many times have you enjoyed watching that person get what's coming to them? All of you. None of you can say you've never enjoyed watching someone get what's coming to them. The rise of the people, the rise of the movement, those that were the oppressors are now suffering. Yeah. Even though it may be a legit quid pro quo, one do for one, do for the other, one hand washes the other for the other to suffer that caused suffering, but those that suffered are now watching the suffering of the sufferage or sufferers. Both ways. So it's not I'm immune to it, I'm not a sadist. Everybody's got a little sadist in them. Period. Yeah, the revised forms. Yeah, validated across multiple cultures, Canada, Greece, Russia, Serbia. It maintains a stronger internal consistency of convergence. So the researchers say, the validity with aggression measures. But it's 2026. The melting pot of culture, society, blend. The left side, the right side, the Republicans, the Democrats, the open borders, the migration, the remigration. There's conflict always within every sociological structure whenever you throw a piece of paper with checks and balances in it to try to interpret what the real defining measure is, especially sadism. It's not just taking a knife or a hammer and beating somebody down till you're giddy and happy in the face. That's not what sadism is. You don't even have to commit a crime. You don't even have to lay a finger on someone. Sadism, the dark T-rad, yeah, the dark T-rad, T-E-T-R-A-D, okay, includes, all right, psychopathy, narcissism, chauvinism, sadism. All of these are dark triads linked to manipulation and cruelty, all of them. But one does not have to physically touch anyone or violate the law or make a threat or put someone under psychological duress to even get off on this. Feel the joy, feel the happiness. It could be a fight on the street. Look at that. Watch that guy get beat down. Stop the car. Let's back up and watch this. Turns into entertainment. A good feeling. Good time. Do you remember that? That was a good time. We got to watch this incident. High sadism means someone enjoys watching others suffer. So, everyone that tunes into this show, everyone out there in the social media world, everyone out there in the CJ world, the psychological world, the churchy church good people world, it doesn't matter where you're at. Everyone has enjoyed watching the suffrage of another person. They got what was coming to them. I'm going to enjoy this. It's about time. Yeah, the good feeling. So everyone has that little touch of sadism. Reliable, discriminate validity is what it is, and emotionally for you, the administered in a non-clinical way. Because you're not at the clinic, you're not in front of a practitioner, but it's clinical. You are the assessor. You're the one validating. This makes me feel good. Cerebral cortex, dopamine, endorphins. Yeah, the trigger of the spark of the electrons. The empathetic muscles, the heart rate. Oh, this is great. I can't look away from it. Offenders with high sadism scores are more likely to enjoy hurting, intimidating, humiliating victims, and which can shape how they offend again, or how they offend in incarceration, or how they offend in that public service profile. Think about a politician. Come on. Politicians now, the words that are said about other races, other countries, other religions, other cultures, the videos. Well, if it offends somebody and hurts them and puts them in an undue stressful situation, it's going to make them hurt. It's going to trigger the emotion. So now the sadist is seeing somebody's upset, somebody's emotionally distraught. I'm affecting someone psychologically, and I'm living for free in that brain. And I'm going to enjoy it. Every time they say my name and how much pain I cause them, it's going to make me feel good. And everybody's going to see that I was the creator of that pain, especially in 2026. Yep. Look at all the conflicts with Israel. I'm not talking about the physical conflicts. I'm talking about the conjecture, the rhetoric, the ideology, the edict, the words, bipartisanism, this side, that side. It just goes, I don't know, it kind of goes crazy, all kind of different ways every day. Courts and treatment terms, all right? The information to assess the risk. Not very validated. A lot of bias there, too. That's why the courts use outside entities, outside affiliates, assessment, forensic psychologists, forensic profilers, and then you have that freaking cable. Why did y'all put this on here? Oh, plugs and unplugs? I thought it would be wireless. Tech people. I'll just put it right there. That way you don't get mad at me. Anyway, that is why the courts rely on specialists outside of the court, those that have gone through extra training, psychologists, right? Forensic psychologists. It's just not that, you got a psychology degree and you've mastered the exam or test and now you have a license. Well, you really don't know anything indifferent about how the CJ system works with it, especially within a sexual sadist experimental event. It's a present for a sexual sadist. It's a gift. It's joy, pain. There's nothing sexual about it. Humiliation, intimidation, fear. It just is what it is. So the practical takeaway for understanding a few of the small, minute features of a sadist and understanding that a sadist does not have to have hands-on, but a sadist can be the trigger or the verbal cue for investigators, clinicians, society, yourself, when reviewing offenses or behavior or, background, so to say, ask not just where was the harm, all right? Don't just stick yourself there, but where was the harm prolonged, the theatrical method of it, or the unnecessary means or delivery method of it. Yes, all of that is critical. The theatrical of it. You watch movies, you watch the violence, so you've got a little sadism in you. Was it theatrical? A live event in public? A protest? A riot? Watching someone get beat down? Watching someone be the receiver of cruelty from another person? The prolonged harm? Knowing that it was going to put someone in a hospital for a long period of time? They got what they deserved. Well, they're in 6 months of recovery. Well, that's what they deserve. That's what they get. Yeah. The unnecessary amount. It's kind of like excessive force, isn't it? Physically, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. Gratuitous cruelty. Everyone has that trait. It's a behavioral signature. Yes, it is. That distinguishes sadistic motive from instrumental or reactive violence. Oh, key thing from yesterday. Instrumental or reactive from the protesters that are just angry or just mad. Everybody's got a little sadistic behavior in the protest, little violence, little support the violence, little let's watch the clash, let's beat on the dum-dum drum and put on a rubber suit like a dinosaur or a blowed up animal and enjoy the show. Yeah. Even those that you're protesting for, that you claim are being offended, now you're causing more damage because somebody out there is going to remember your spectacle of stupidity and your exhibit of sadist practitionership skills, and it's going to emotionally put that person under stress, and it's going to cause more stress. Stupid. That's why protests are stupid. They're dumb. You're not instrumental. You're not changing anything. You're not doing anything. You're not, you're superficially making effect. Just you're scraping the surface. You're not doing crap. So we know basically now what sadism is. We need to answer the simple sadism investigator questions. Is a person a cold calculator or a cruelty enthusiast? Well, most people are calculators. Most people are calculators based on trait development, historical venue, how they grew up, what they learned, culture, race, creed, religion, common practices, the differences. Thus, the forums are biased. They don't go into detail. Is a person a cold, calculated sadist, or are they just an enthusiast and just want to enjoy more of the pain? Because your interview strategy as an investigator or your interview strategy as a clinician or somebody that would be an assessment tool, psychologist, sociologist, whatever you are, whatever your discipline is, you're at risk too. You're risking the assessment based on the questions, even though your preparation for the investigation, your preparation for the courtroom, everything that is a prep completely changes the delivery method of the question, the legality. Yes, the allowance, the he said, she said, the credibility, the validity is when allowed to testify as an expert or question as an expert in a courtroom. So it changes the question. Now it changes the dependency and delivery of the answer. So even in a courtroom, the validation. Yeah, there's bias in the validation. There's bias in the professionalism of the practitioners that have to maintain set precedent, legislative word of law, specific court procedures. I hate this freaking cord, man. We're going to have to do something about this thing. Yeah, I know. We could just make it wireless, right? Get an adapter, make me look cool, high-tech and high-speedy. Stop shaking your head, man. You're the guy that sets this up. Back to the sadist. Psychopathy is a personality style trademark. All right. It's a trademark of sadism delivered with shallow emotions, a lack of guilt, and the tendency to manipulate and exploit others. Not just in the moment, manipulate and exploit. Anybody ever hear someone talk about someone, a past incident, now they're talking today? The rumor mills, the propagators of propaganda and garbage. Yeah, little Nancy's nothing but a mouth. Little Bob tells everybody everything. Well, you want to find out what's going on in the community? Go find little Tina. She'll tell you everything and enjoy every painful moment she tells you about someone else's suffrage. Yeah, sadist. The shallow emotions, the lack of the guilt to run that mouth and talk about things that you know are none of your business, or things you shouldn't be saying about anybody, period. Because it's none of your business. Sadism is a separate trait focused on enjoying the suffering, the humiliation, and the distress of others, period. It's a separate trait. It's not a trait like behavioral traits constructed through culture. It's not a trait like behavioral or choice theory traits constructed through culture, race, religion. It's a separate trait all on its own that diminishes the cognitive faculties, the emotions, the guilt, sometimes even the fear of consequence, good or bad. Some offenders, some people that exhibit some sadistic behavior, both have psychopathy and sadism, while others only have one. Sadism and psychopathy are two different things. They're not one singular, period. you don't know a little about that, watch some of the previous shows about psychopathy and serial killers. You may find it interesting. Yep. Some offenders do have both, but they're not both the same thing. Psychopaths may be calm, strategic. Sadists may be more drawn into watching the pain itself. The psychopath is really not absorbed into sticking around and watching the pain. The sadist is. So one would say that the sadist would enjoy watching the psychopath inflict the pain because they're two different trait development theories. Eventuality, culture, race, creed, trauma, what one has endured in life to help develop the psychopath, psychosis, psychopathic behavior versus someone who has not suffered any of that in their developmental period as a child, teen, young adult, older adult, but yet they still enjoy watching others suffer. So two different spectrums, two different trait developments, not associated together. Now, a psychopath can have sadism, techniques, practices, traits. Sadism can be singular, but they're both individual on their own. So hope we got that crystal clear here. Let's cover a few more things. I know, everybody's afternoon. You're like, this is like a high-speed university lecture. Yes, but this is not a replacement for the university classroom, mind you, whatsoever. Psychopathy in plain language, all right? Let's just put this in plain, normal, everyday, common, on-the-road language. Psychopathy means a person who has a very shallow emotion, little guilt or remorse, and often uses charm and manipulation to get the vent, to get the vein, to get what they want. The vein meaning your vain, pleasing yourself, your vain, your vanity. That's all it is. They're going to use that to get what they want. Psychopaths are calm, they're organized, they're offenders who plan crimes carefully and do not feel for the reward or feel bad for the reward or the consequence afterwards. A sadist can. Sadist has that propensity to feel bad. Oh, I feel bad now. I was enjoying it when I was watching it. I was having such a good time watching Bob hurt and watching Chris go down and watching them bleed out as they were stabbed in the throat. The sadist can have that emotion, that remorse. The psychopath is not. They're not going to feel bad because there is nothing there. So the majority of you in society that you're not psychopaths, you're not organized offenders to plot out with intent crimes, violent actions. You're not a psychopath, but you did enjoy watching another hurt, so you exhibited that sadistic sadism venue in your life. Where it came from, the trait development, who knows? The questionnaires are flawed because you're only going to fill the questionnaire out based on what you want to answer and how you want to answer it. It's kind of like the bad guy giving the detective or the investigator what the detective or the investigator is asking for. The bad guy or bad girl is only going to give the investigator what the bad guy or the bad girl wants the investigator to know, much like the psychopath. The sadist is going to trip up and flip and fall all over the emotional words once the trait development of remorse. Yes. Self-saving. Well, I've got to come clean with this because now I'm on the chopping block. Somebody's going to watch me suffer. So there's going to be another sadist that watches me suffer. So now my emotions, my ability to understand pain and suffrage is now here. I'm just a sadist. I'm not a psychopath. I don't have a psychopath or psychopathy problem. Hasn't developed to that level yet. Clinical taxonomy, okay, of a sadistic offender. It distinguishes psychopath or psychopathy-driven instruments of violence from sadism-driven hedonistic violence. Two different things. Instrumental violence, hedonistic, hedonic violence. Driven violence, instrumentation. Think of the protest. Dumb protesters in suits with signs and Walmart goggles and plastic shields and so-called. They're not instrumentation. They're triggers, they're emotion. The sadist recognizes the pain, the emotion, the fear. The psychopath does not. There's no trigger. It's kind of like driving your car into a burning building without even caring whether you're going to live or die or what happens to the car or what happens to anybody else. But the sadist is going to enjoy watching the psychopath drive that car into the building. There's the difference, the taxonomy of both individually. To define sadism in plain language, sadism means someone enjoys seeing or causing harm, humiliation, or fear in others. The psychopath does not give two craps about your fear, does not give two craps about enjoying it. It's plotted, it's done. There's an instrumentation to this. There's a result, and even if the result is not fine-tuned, the psychopath is not caring for the fine-tuned result or the given desired end. The sadist is to see and witness the suffering, the beneficial practice of watching someone suffer to get self-gratitude. It's kind of like fondling. We're not talking about child rape. We're not talking about child burglary, penis to anus. We're not talking about, everybody gets that confused and calls it sodomy and rape. No, look at your legislative word of law, federal and state. Get the terms. That's why the majority of people out there on the internet talking about this are pinheads. Don't even understand what the legislative word of law. Back to the sadist. The sadist is going to be set at a level for a benefit venue. Once that benefit venue is met, it's done. It's over. Time to seek another sadistic moment for self-joy or self-gratification to make oneself feel good. The psychopath is not at that level, people. They're not. It's another instrumentation for the psychopath. A sadist, someone that practices, sadism events in their life, there's no instrumentation. It could be an opportunistic moment. Look at that. Someone fell and got hurt. How many of you laugh at an accident? Someone gets hurt really bad. Someone falls down. Someone is crying or they're hurt. Yeah, you got emotion. It's bad. But it was funny as funny gets to watch, man. And you bust out because it's enjoyable. Well, that's a sadistic moment for you. The humiliation. That person's humiliated now. You're laughing at them. They're in pain. But the motion, the craziness of falling down the stairs, getting bit by the dog, it just looked funny. It was hilarious. Humiliation, seeing the pain, seeing the cause. So, don't get mad at this guy right here. Oh, this guy's saying I'm a sadist. Yes, you are. You've exhibited sadism, sadistic tendencies. Thus the questionnaires and the psychological profiles and everything. They're wrong. Well, I'm a good person. I'm good. That's like right now, probably got some, university developing scholars watching this thinking, well, I'm a great person. I'm in a great program, but I just said this and you did it last week. You're like, oh my God, this guy's right. I'm a sadist. Yes, you are. Sadist tendencies. Everyone in society. Heck, I have. I've seen so many people in training fall downstairs, fall out of helicopters, get hurt. It was funny, man. It was just hysterical to watch. But it was humiliating while I was laughing at them. Yeah, sadistic behavior, sadism. For example, the sadist might enjoy watching someone cry, scream, or beg simply from that high dopamine or high endorphin, that emotion. It gives the sadist an even deeper, harder punch of dopamine and endorphin to themselves. Yes, makes them feel good. Those of you that are watching, I'm not a sadist. Are you? Yeah, you are. You've watched it. I could fall out of my chair and have headphones and everything going. You guys would laugh and joy and giggle, but I didn't get back up. And one of the tech guys over here that set me up with this has to call EMS or emergency medical response. You're still laughing. Sadists. Yep. The sadist will enjoy it diagnostically. All right. Sadism and personality. All right. Psychopath showing diagnostic overlaps in forensic settings. Yeah, that's common, but that's all based on the bias of the one diagnosing it. Psychologist A versus psychologist B, profiler A, profiler B. But the distinct factor should not be capsulized or collapsed into a single construct. Why? Individuals develop different. Individuals come from different races, creeds, religions, backgrounds, cultures, subcultures. Thus, what is humiliation in one culture is not humiliation. It's kind of like linguistic venue, words, developmental, the use, the practices. They're all different. So you can't capsulize a psychopathy and sadism into one tiny package and say, look at this. Now we've got a new Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers or Jeffrey Dahmer out there. It's not going to work that way. It's not, people. Everyone watching this show with common sense is going to say, the guy's right. It's 2026. The blending capicopia of multi-race, multiculture in cities now. Think about it. Think of the violence that we're seeing based on race, creed, religion, culture, indifference. And then suddenly you have people that are victims of specific crimes, and now we're going to go on historical venue of oppression, violence. It goes all directions for all race, all creed, all religion. There is no one single identity to this sadistic interpretation. Now look what's happening. They're getting what they deserve. The historical venue has came back to haunt them. The sins of the father, now the children pay. The sins of the mother, now the children pay. Sins of the grandparents. Yeah. The past turns into future and present sadism. All right. The combination of both together, sadism and, psychopathy, can make it more dangerous because they're both emotionally distracted, but both have pleasure-driven traits for cruelty. Self, the instrumentation. Why does the psychopath or the person with this, psychopathic or psychopathy intentfully instrumentalize tactic, skill, training? Yes, tactic, skill, and training. No one's born a badass, like Navy Chuck Norris Delta SEAL. No, they weren't born that way. They were trained. The psychopath that has a psychopathic deliverance in the head, they're seeking the instrumentation. They're going to learn. They're going to learn how to be the tip of the spear, the shiny, dull side of the spoon. They're going to learn these things. The sadist doesn't care about that. They don't have to put forth any effort, man. But it's still pleasure-driven cruelty. So the sadist is the number one fan of the psychopath. Put that in your Lucky Charm spoon or pipe and chew it and smoke it for a minute. So all of you out there in society that enjoy the pain of someone else, or you laugh at it, I fall in the same box as everybody else does. I've laughed at, pain and, all that good stuff, just like everybody else has. But the number one fans of the psychopath, the psychopathy, you're just the number one guy that loves the serial killer. That's why everybody loves the TV shows. That's why everybody jumps in when there's a CJTV serial killer show. Yeah, the mental dilapidation, the enjoyment, that's a trigger. That hits my emotions. That kind of excites me hearing about all of this and learning something new about the brain and the neuroscience and the developmental trait features so that I know how to look in the mirror and see I'm a sadist that enjoys a psychopath. Yes. Is this really triggering in your heads now? Everybody in society has a sadistic trait. Everybody in society has that level of sadism. Just is to get, is what it is. That's all you can say. You can't just go in and cut it out. Think about how it was developed in you. Trait, religion, race, creed, life experience, trauma, friends, peer pressure, bullies, educators, teachers, mentors, leaders, those ones that you witnessed and watched practice sadistic or sadist behavior now have turned it into a normal moral ought to for you. No wonder we have psychopathy in the society. No wonder we have serial killers. No wonder we have psychopaths walking amongst us that do not care about your sadistic humor or self-pleasure. It's a tool. It's a tool. Psychopathy is more about the instrument of harm, hurting others to get the control, the power. Yes, the energy. While sadism is more about, as I said, the hedonistic harm, watching someone hurt just to make yourself feel good. Put it in the chat. What do you think? What are you more of, the sadist or the psychopath? Yes, put it in the chat. Be bold. Send it in the message. Text it to me. The text number's right up there. Yeah, we've got text now for those that are scared to type it in. We're going to be doing phone calls starting those next month. See if we can get anybody bold enough. Yep. We'll close this off with a few more points from this topic here. Sadism, all right? Sadism is strongly linked to unprovoked aggression. Yeah, unprovoked aggression. There was nobody there poking a finger at you. How many of you have watched a news report or a TV show or a live stream and it was about something that touched you emotionally? Life episode. I can, comprehend this. I can get on board with this. And now suddenly you're hearing about other people suffering because of what you're against. The emotion. Nobody was there to provoke you. You yourself didn't provoke anybody. The sadist. You didn't provoke anyone. But yet, you are getting aroused. It's unprovoked. You didn't do it. You're not hurting anybody. Right? The people in a high sadistic environment with high sadism traits sometimes feel better when they cause the pain, witness the pain, or can feel the emotional venue, the emotional coverage, the understanding of the psychopath's instrumental tacticianist skills. Yeah. Don't even have to be involved in the violent act whatsoever. But the sadist, the stronger the amount of pleasure watching the unprovoked aggression. Don't even have to be a part of it. Yep, the boredom plus sadism can spike the aggression too. Sadists get bored. They do. Psychopaths don't get bored. There's a new job, man. There's a new target. I need more instrument time, more instrumentalization of what I'm going to do next to my next victim so the sadists can hear it and see it on the news and get joy. And why do moronic women and men flood serial killers with "I love you" mail? How many serial killers have had intimate relationships with people from the outside that they've never met before? I'm not talking about sexual. I said intimate, linguistic words, open, the venue, the emotion. Even gotten married. Never saw each other. Do your own research. It happens. So the sadists exist that are not psychopaths, but the boredom of the sadist to recognize the psychopath, especially, the prison system. Just the way it is. Do sadists actually feel emotion? Yes. Yes. Sadists actually feel emotion. Bob, man, it was funny when I watched you fall down the stairs and break your shoulder and watch that piece of steel go into your eye. I laughed. You were humiliated. Man, I'm so glad it was you and not me. But I was wrong. I apologize. I shouldn't have laughed at you as you were bleeding out of your eye and profusely holding your head, for that orbital fracture. Yeah, sadists have emotion. The psychopaths, they do not. This doesn't exist. The next target, the next instrument. I won't blink while I watch you suffer. That's the sadist. They're not going to blink. They're going to watch it. It's the trigger. It's the energy. It's the enjoyment. It's like watching the good train wreck on YouTube, or watch this compilation of car wrecks, or this compilation of people shooting themselves or getting shot or falling off bridges. Or anybody remember the shows to where Faces of Death? Who remembers those way back in the day, like in the 90s and early 2000s? Faces of Death. Why would you watch that? Ooh, did you see that? Did you see that, Bob? Oh, the trigger. Oh, here comes the next one. Did you see that alligator bite that guy's head off? Yeah. Enjoyment, gratification, self-love, the original sin, self-love, revealing the sadistic motivator in you to your friends, society, the public. Doesn't necessarily have to be about anger or revenge. It can be about self. You can be angry at yourself because you've chosen a lifestyle that is boring, boredom plus sadism. Now you've got to do something to trigger it because you're pissed at yourself. How many of you have stayed in that shitty relationship and now you're mad at yourself? I should have left when I had the chance. Now I can't wait to watch this person suffer. Yeah. And is it you? Understanding the links between the criminal justice system, professionals, forensic specialists, investigators, investigator schools. It'll kind of help you understand, the links between cruelty, humiliation, sadism, and the violence aspect of it, even though the sadist doesn't have to have hands-on. And it helps you understand the psychopaths' need for sociological sadism. Yeah, psychopaths derive from that. That's the instrument. The payback. So look at me. Find every piece of research you can on a serial killer, the psychopath. There was a means, there was an instrumentation of self-gratification, and society enabled it. Yeah, society enabled it. There's no way you can argue it. Okay? No way. You can list out any serial killer, anything, any target, any instrumentation, and I can narrow it down to a sadistic practice in society that the psychopath sought out and put into the instrumentation of the crime for self-gratification, not self-gratification of the end result or the goal. Kind of like the my chauvinistic venue. The chauvinistic venue for the female serial killers. Yep. Everyday sadism, small cruelty, small time. Everyday sadism means enjoying small-scale cruelty. Little bits, like laughing at someone's humiliation, enjoying a violent video game. Yes, enjoying a violent video game. Everybody's got a little soldier. Let's go kill these mother peeps. Yeah. Let me show you how to reload that quicker. Yeah, let's go out there and put on a whole bunch of stupid J6er gear and run around with some airsoft helmets and some airsoft gear and practice how to be Pinky in the Brain and take over the world. Listening to sadistic leaders that were emotionalists in society. Yeah. Emotionalists. Those of you that don't understand that, go back and watch last night's episode about the you're pissed off, you're a fake protester. You'll understand it now. That's sadism too. I'm mad. I want to watch people hurt and suffer and watch the energetic recourse of something I don't have to do or touch. I just have to manipulate it with my words and my voice and let other people do it. Yes, even in a non-criminal setting, a non-violent setting, non-law violating setting, people in high everyday sadism positions are more likely to insult, tease, and bully others for fun. What do we call those? Bureaucrats. Politicians. That's what we call them. How many of you have watched a bureaucrat or a politician insult, tease, verbally bully, verbally argue, threaten, fear? Happens every day. Your top bureaucrats. President down. Doesn't matter. It's kind of like who killed more people with drones than any president? Obama. Not Trump. It was Obama. Do your own research. Who used the military against the American people more than any president? As a security measure, safety, control. Obama, not Trump. Oh my gosh. Somebody's going to get mad watching this show now, but do your own research. Good gosh. The sadism comes out now. Yeah, and somebody, we just found this out and we did our research because that guy on CJTV said it and we researched it. Now we're happy and now we've got ammo to throw out there to a certain partisan group and make them feel bad. Good God, inflicting pain, humiliation to get pleasure. So, one could say that you're all sadists in some shape, form, or fashion. All of you enjoy it. It's there. So to close this for this fine afternoon, we've kind of did a small map. We could go for hours. But if you want the full breakdown, shoot me an email, drmikeleeg@gmail.com. Why did you guys shift this shit again? Okay, it's there. Yeah. Stop mirroring my crap, man. I do like the column, though, versus the thing under the bottom. Give me a thumbs up. You like the column or the long, boring, annoying ticker? I kind of like the column. It's just there. It's not moving. It's not confusing. Get the number down. Send us a text. But to close this out, we've mapped it a little bit. The motive, the institutionalization, the descriptors within the institutions itself. But there's one last question that the evolutionarists of psychology keep asking, and they never get an answer for. If sadism is so destructive, why doesn't it disappear? That's a good question. They keep asking themselves that. but it persists because it's in the gene pool, human beings. The answer might surprise you. Psychopathy, sadism, they're not the same thing. So why does it not disappear? It's because you're still here. You're a human being. You're alive. Are you a sadist or a psychopath? That's yours to answer when you wake up every day and look in the mirror. That's if you don't run away from the screen or drop the idiot dumb cell phone and go look now. Yes, you enjoy pain. You, ma'am, sir, you're a sadist because it's funny to you. You know it's been funny. You've seen pain and laughed.